This video will show you how to replace the rear sway bar links on a Chrysler 300. This will be located behind your rear wheel. Let's get into it. Safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. We're going to remove the driver's side rear wheel. To do that, you'll find you have 5 21mm lug nuts, and let's get the wheel off of here. Now that we have the wheel out of the way, let's have a look inside this area. This is where we can see the control arm we're going to be replacing. We have an ABS wheel speed sensor wiring harness that makes its way across. We're going to dislodge the bracket from that arm itself. For this, I'm just using a small pocket screwdriver. I'll make my way in between this ear here. You should be able to dislodge it. Just a quick inspection, make sure it's reusable. If it did happen to break, you can use a wire tie during the installation process. We're following this inboard. This area just pulls straight down. Now, as you can tell, we have plenty of slack from this area. Let's go ahead and tuck this up and out of the way so we don't have to worry about it. Now, as for the arm itself, we have hardware out in the open, right along the outboard side. But you'll find as we make our way to the inboard mounting hardware, it's going to be blocked by this trunk area here, where the spare tire would sit. So with that said, we're going to have to carefully lower the rear subframe down just enough that we can gain access to this hardware and remove it. A quick note about doing this job: for the driver's side, you will have to carefully lower the rear subframe. For the passenger side, you will not. Now, to start lowering down the subframe, we need to apply support. I'm directly along the center area on the rear here. Light pressure there, let's continue on. Now, as far as lowering the subframe, let's start on the rearward portion of the subframe here. We have an 18mm headed bolt. We can remove that. We have support under here. After that, we'll remove the forward 18mm headed bolt as well from this side of the vehicle. A thorough inspection of that hardware. If it looks like it's rotted, weak, or damaged, you need to replace it. Onto the front mounting bolt, 18mm here as well. Continuing on, we can carefully start lowering that subframe. We need to make sure that we can gain access to our mounting hardware up in this area. It's time to start removing the hardware. I like to start with the outboard hardware first. We have an 18mm headed bolt that makes its way through from here on the rear towards the front. On the front, an 18mm headed mounting nut. Now, an important note about this is when you do go to remove the mounting bolt, you're going to find that this arm is under pressure. Once you start removing it, it's going to want to come up. There we are. Now we're on the inboard side here. Looking just above where our exhaust is on the subframe, we can see our rear hardware. Now, this mounting bolt makes its way through from the rear towards the front. We're going to be using an 18mm on either side. This is an alignment adjustment bolt here, so we need to make sure we take a quick note of the alignment of it. For this, I always like to just make a clear marking. I'm using a crayon. You can use pretty much anything that'll make a clear marking for you. So we'll be holding the bolt side with our 18mm wrench, and on the forward side, we'll be using our 18mm to remove our mounting nut. There we are. There's our mounting hardware there. Quick inspection. Now we should have movement from this. You should also be able to pivot the arm around as necessary. That may help you get this bolt out of place. There we are. Just a quick inspection of that. And now we can remove that arm. There it is, friend. Now it's time for installation of the brand new rearward lower control arm. Let's get this in position into the subframe. Once you have that in place, we'll continue on with our alignment adjustment bolt. Slide that through as far as possible. Now that I have that bolt through, on the forward side, I have my alignment adjustment washer, and then I also have my mounting nut. We have our outer mounting bolt. That's going to slide through the control arm and through the knuckle. Mounting hardware for that as well. Now, prior to tightening or torquing that hardware, we need to make sure that we have our subframe in the upright position. Before doing that, I need to make a quick note about the spacers you should find along either side of the subframe. You want to make sure that these are sitting on top of the subframe, the mounting bolt port is properly aligned. We'll double check this one and the forward one. Same process here. Once they are, just continue on by raising up the subframe and installing both of the mounting bolts. Let's raise that subframe. As for the subframe mounting hardware, the longer of the two bolts is for the rear and the shorter is for the front. You'll notice that I have applied blue thread locker to the threads of each of these two bolts. We'll snug each of these up and the torque will be 133 foot-pounds. Remove support from under your subframe. Now, prior to tightening the hardware for that control arm, we need to raise the suspension into the original ride height position prior to tightening here, so let's just go ahead and raise that up. We have this raised. Let's start by tightening and torquing the outer hardware first. Once we have this bottomed out, we're torquing this mounting bolt to 74 foot-pounds. Now for the inner hardware here, before tightening it, we need to make sure it's in the proper alignment. You can see that my markings are not aligned at this point, so we'll just make our adjustment as necessary. Continuing on, we have our hardware on the inside. Go ahead and bottom them out. The torque for this will be 66 foot-pounds. And now we can torque that mounting nut. 66 foot-pounds. Now that I have that torqued, I'm just going to double check to make sure this is still aligned. Obviously, the alignment professional in the end is going to make an adjustment here. This looks good. Let's continue on. Let's release pressure from under the rear suspension. It's time for that ABS wheel speed sensor wiring harness. We're going to align this. We'll press it into position. Lock it down. If any of these clips are broken, replace it with a wire tie. One last quick inspection in this area and we can reinstall our wheel. Now that we have the wheel in place, we're going to bottom out each one of our 21mm lug nuts. We'll get the wheel back on the ground and then torque all of these to 110 foot-pounds. Now that I have my wheel back on the ground, we're going to be torquing each one of these lug nuts in a crisscross manner to that 110 foot-pounds. Torqued. Okay, friend, we finished our installation. At this point, you want to go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test, listen for any odd noises, and get yourself a 4-wheel alignment. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.